Hello YouTubers and welcome to Novus Talks with me, your host Novus Gories. And I finally got to see Godzilla vs. Kong. This movie came out in March and yes, it's been on streaming services, but this is the type of film I've always wanted to see on the big screen. And I've been patiently waiting for cinemas to reopen so I could finally see it on the big screen. And today was my lucky day. I finally got to see it. And oh boy, that wait was worth it. This film was everything I wanted it to be. I could not be happier with it. This was literally everything I wanted from the film. Coming off of Godzilla 2, King of the Monsters, I enjoyed that movie for its action scenes. The action scenes in that movie were spectacular, but the story was really weak and it did leave me kind of disappointed in the movie because it focused so heavily on that. And I'm one of the few who really enjoyed Godzilla 2014, so coming off of King of the Monsters, I was kind of a bit disappointed and maybe I lost a bit of faith in where the Monsterverse could go, but I always wanted to hold out hope for this movie, Godzilla vs. Kong, because I believed if done right and if the fight scenes and stuff were all the main focus of the film, we would get something truly special and entertaining. And lo and behold, we did. I did go into this movie with some expectations of not enjoying. I expected to enjoy it, but I had expectations that some bad decisions would be made. Coming off of the trailer, I did a trailer reaction. I did enjoy the trailer and I did see Mechagodzilla in it. One of my disappointments was that, we're getting Mechagodzilla instead of Mechagodzilla. And I was disappointed that maybe since Godzilla was being portrayed the villain, I was thinking that we weren't actually going to see Godzilla vs. Kong. We were going to see Kong versus Mechagodzilla, but thankfully that wasn't the case for most of the movie. I'm really thrilled to say that when Godzilla and Kong fought, it was a really fair fight. It was just the two of them on even ground, no interruptions, one-on-one. And when they won, there was a clear winner. And when that happened, I was absolutely delighted. Because I was very worried that going into this, they would fight and one would beat the other, but it would be because of luck or some random chance bullshit, or maybe the humans interfered and that's why one side won, or things like this. And I expected the fights to be short and have a lot of human elements, but apparently the filmmakers learned from their mistakes from King of the Monsters, because Godzilla vs. Kong really focuses on the action. The human scenes in this movie, from the human point of view, you could argue the movie is bad because the writing is absolutely dog shit when it comes to the human characters. But no one's watching for the human characters. No one cares. We want kaiju action. That's what the movie is for. And so usually with these type of versus movies, the biggest problem is that the fights exist only to further advance the human story, the main character story. With this film, it's the complete opposite. The humans exist only to set up and arrange the fight for Godzilla vs. Kong. And that, I was really happy and genuinely shocked and surprised for that to be the case. I expected some human scenes to detract from the fights, but that really wasn't the case. What we got in the end was a movie that, yeah, you had a focus on the human scenes when they were necessary, but when it came to the action scenes and the focus on Godzilla and King Kong, what we got was these really long and extended fight scenes that lasted quite a bit. I was legitimately shocked at their length. And then coupled off with that satisfying finale, that beautiful grand finale where Godzilla stands triumphant over King Kong, which shocked me actually, because when we see King Kong sitting on the throne halfway through the movie, I was thinking, okay, he's going to be the winner of the fight because Godzilla won the first fight. Obviously, King Kong's going to win the second one. But at the same time, I was confused because I was like, it's Godzilla's franchise, so would Godzilla really lose? But he is the villain, so maybe Kong does win. But I was for Team Godzilla and Godzilla won, so A. But going back to what I said about the finale, obviously you have that fight, the main titular fight ends, and then we get Mechagodzilla and the fight continues. I expected at this point Mechagodzilla to be this like cheap thing that comes out at the end and is like decimated in 2 minutes, but no, he comes out, absolutely devastates Godzilla, and then King Kong joins in the fight, and I expected this to be over instantly, but no, this fight went on for like, I would say another like 7 minutes. It really dragged on, and in a good way. I was genuinely surprised, and I was completely entertained the whole way through. It never felt drawn out. It felt like it ran a pretty good, decent way. And obviously, the one thing I loved about Mechagodzilla was that since it was being used from Ghidorah's head, they actually used Ghidorah's consciousness and had Mechagodzilla get possessed by Ghidorah, which kind of explains the power dynamic there. It explains why he absolutely trashed Godzilla, because now it's this robot being controlled by Ghidorah's consciousness, and Ghidorah's probably furious he was killed. So it makes sense story-wise. But apart from the absolutely stellar action sequences, there are some touching emotional scenes between King Kong and that girl I can't remember the name of, but you know the one, the sign language. I was expecting to hate those scenes, but I actually enjoyed them, and you get a few emotional scenes, especially toward the end, between her and Kong, and he actually felt like an actual character, and they really sort of humanized him to that extent, and I actually really enjoyed that. A lot of people have said this, and I do agree. Even though I find myself on voting for Godzilla, I can't help but feel really bad for Kong. So I'm at this weird crossroads where I'm happy Godzilla's trashing Kong, but at the same time I'm feeling bad because of the emotional and human build-up that's been established with his character at that point. And so it's this interesting dynamic that goes on, and it really elevated the film to a higher level of quality, I think. The most surprising thing of this movie, though, was the ending. Like, so the MonsterVerse is supposed to be a cinematic universe. I take that to mean that there would be like 10 plus films and they'd all be on different monsters. Like we had King of the Monsters introduce all those monsters, but then we get that little opening shot in Godzilla vs. Kong. We find out all of these other monsters are dead. Godzilla killed them all, and now it's just him and King Kong, and I'm sure there's other ones around, but of the main ones, it seems to be just the two of them left. And then when it comes to the ending, I expected some post-credit scene to set up what the next movie would be. Because even going into it, I remember there was talks like, would this be the last film? Because we didn't know of any other films past this point that were being greenlit or were in talks or whatever, but no, I stayed until after the credits and there was no post-credit scene. And while I was surprised, I felt good about it actually. The story felt complete. This was the ending of a quadrilogy. It feels like we had 3 movies of build up to this fight, and this natural story has come to its end. And I like the fact that they didn't shoehorn in a cliffhanger ending to tease something. Maybe it's because they feared the movie wouldn't do well, or they didn't have plans for another movie, because it seems to be this fight was the main build-up. But I think they didn't expect to make as much money as they did back from it, so I think that's why there was no post-credit scene. But either way, the ending we got was a perfect ending, I feel, because it was rounding out the story and it wasn't setting up the story for an unnecessary sequel. It was a perfect end, and while part of me wants another movie because I really enjoy these movies and they're fun, crazy action films, I'm quite content with what we got. I almost don't want another movie because having it round out with these 4 films feels kind of perfect. And there's not really much else. Obviously there's a lot they can do from the lore, but from the story they've currently established, there's not much they can do without it feeling tacked on. It doesn't flow naturally. You'd be able to tell that they thought of that afterwards, is what I'm trying to say. Because they had a whole writer's room for Godzilla vs. Kong, so I thought that would lead to like multiple more movies, but surprisingly no. Which is fine. It's so rare nowadays that a movie ends in a self-contained way. You actually feel content that the story is over. It's a good story because it leaves you wanting more, but at the same time you don't want more because it was so fulfilling having it wrap up the way it did. And I'm sure they'll make more movies. In another good few years they'll come up with another one. Even though these movies take a ridiculously long time to make, that is kind of the good thing about them, because they release at a good pace from each other. So even if they started work on one right away, it wouldn't come out till like 2024. So you're not going to see one of these movies every single year, so it's not going to feel milked. These movies will always release at a good pace from each other, so it won't feel oversaturated, which is a huge benefit in this universe's favor. But at the same time, I would be lying if I said I wasn't a bit emotional that it's kind of the end, because as I said, these are fun action movies, but it's also one of the only cinematic universes I think was crafted really well and that I actually genuinely enjoyed. But regardless of how weak some of the storytelling was, the fact that the monsters were the actual forefront and not the humans really paid off. You go into this movie wanting to see kaiju action, and that's exactly what this movie delivers. And it's not often you can say that about a fight film like this, but it's genuinely true. This movie delivers on everything it promises, and it's absolutely fantastic for it. I genuinely enjoyed this film. I absolutely loved it. It was a blast. Go see it on the big screen if you have not seen it already. I beg of you. Nothing beats seeing it on the biggest screen possible. Having those bombastic sounds just coming at you and debris flying everywhere. It's a whole other experience on the big screen. Please go see it on the big screen if you can. I urge you to do that, because this is one hell of a film. And either way, I'll be happy if they make another one, even though I'm happy with how it ended, but who knows, that might be talk for another day. But yeah, those are just my thoughts and quick review on Godzilla vs. Kong after talking about it for months. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What did you think of Godzilla vs. Kong? Are you happy with the outcome? Did you want Godzilla to win or King Kong? What did you think of the ending? What do you think of Mechagodzilla? I want to hear everything you have to say down in the comment section below. And yeah, with that all said, thank you all for watching and please subscribe. Novoskov is out.